Palkondujang dang yerme pa gungarab dorjijin trag pa jeti dang nisume pai pa lamanam che tente chong. So first about the why. Have you noticed that some days you have good energy for practice and some days you don't? That it's up and down. Good days and bad days. Days where you feel close to the Dharma, close to your practice. And days where you feel far from it. An altar helps to stabilize that up and down. It holds your energy. You put energy into creating it, and that energy is available to you when you need it. It holds a sphere of sanctity, of refuge in your home, in your environment, that you can use to recharge yourself. And it's quite simple and easy to do. So, Nyando, will it be possible for you to bring the camera over for a moment?
Yes. Project a bit because you're not on microphone.
I'm not. Okay.
You're not. So you can disconnect yourself, or I can
Okay,
disconnect
I want you to have a look at my altar and some of the things on it. We have image, form. In the back, you will see a number of different statues and a stupa. We have books, many, many books. They're not sitting up on top simply because there's no room. No matter how big an altar I make, it seems to fill up with things that matter to me. My bumpa, some flowers, relics behind them. Couple of things you want to pay attention to. Your serchems. These are serchems. Oh, good Lord. There. Back here. Show a serchem. There's a serchem. Maybe this one I can get into a picture better. Back there. It looks like a little skull on a pedestal. You want to be able to use those if you're doing self-initiation. This is spirit offerings. All right, now it's containing black coffee and a chocolate. My Dorjian bell. The offerings I'm going to show you how to do. So we'll put the camera once you've had a look at the altar setup. Your basics there, Nyando, can you put this back? Your basics there are the stupa. If you don't have a stupa, you can use a quartz crystal. So your image, your statues, your stupa, and your books. These three, plus your other tools that you use, things that matter to you, relics that you may have. My Khandro's ashes are there. Relics from Rinpoche as well. Statues of archetypes you work with. Guru Rinpoche. Dorji Pangmo. And my little laughing Buddha, which reminds me not to take it all too seriously. For making offerings on your altar, you need 7 little bowls. You can get them at a Tibet shop or even a Chinese shop if you don't mind not being Tibetan traditional. You need a cloth that you use only for this purpose. So go find something, a clean cloth, and this is what you use it for. You wipe out your bowls with the clean cloth. Then, taking the first bowl, you pour water in it. You never put an empty bowl right side up on the altar. Having poured water in the first bowl, you pour a little bit of water from it into the second bowl and set the first bowl in its place. Then you would pour, if you had a third bowl that had nothing in it. I have this set up. This is Rinpoche's old Wong stuff. So I have a full setup here. So I have things in the bowls. But if I did not have, I would pour this water a little bit into the next bowl and then set this bowl properly. The distance between the bowls should be the width of a rice grain. It is said that having that distance correctly improves your eyesight. So this is water to drink, water to wash. Flowers. You can have water with fresh flowers in it, or as I'm using here, a Tibetan flower statue in a bowl of grain. Always put grain on the bottom when you're putting an object in. Agam padam pupe. Incense. Again, a bowl of grain with my incense standing in it. Dupe. A butter lamp. If you're using real butter as a butter lamp or real oil, always put a dish under it so it doesn't mess up your altar. Learn that the hard way. Massage oil, perfume, a bath bomb, scent, a bowl of grain with a bottle of perfume in it. Your Torma, food offering. I'll teach you how to make one of these. And music, a conch shell. It could be a little flute or some chimtongs, a bell, any such thing. Once you have all the bowls up, then you take your good quality fresh water, and those which will contain water you fill, using 2 hands to hold the pitcher, and trying to fill them very well without rippling the water, rippling it as little as possible. Filled to the brim. And this is an altar setup. This is actually set up so that you could do a Kriya Tantra Wong from it, when you're doing a Wong or a self-initiation, you want these things. If I were doing a Mahanatara Wong or some forms of Yoga Tantra or Anuttara and all of the Anuttaras, I would have 2 rows of bowls. The second row behind, and the way I would set those up is I would first have a higher layer with slightly larger bowls, and I would set those up in the same order, and then I would have smaller bowls in front and I would set them up in the opposite order. This order is an offering from me to the 3 jewels. Since in Yoga Tantra and Mahanatara Tantra you are your yidam, the second row in front would be an offering from your yidam to you because you are your yidam, so all Buddhas of the 4 times make offerings to all Buddhas of the 4 times. Very simple doing, but can you feel the power there? How it will hold my energy? There's a liveliness to it. Now, I have my stuff stuck down with museum putty in the bowls. I highly recommend that because, well, cats. If you have a cat, it will get on your altar. If you're doing your altar properly with good energy, your cat's going to want to be up there. So, unless you have a cat too old to jump it, you may expect a cat on your altar, so you want things that you want to arrange it so it won't get broke when the cat knocks it off. That'll happen.
That's the first question we got, is what to do if one has cats.
Museum putty. Stick stuff down with museum putty. Because yes, they'll be up there, it's glowing.
Okay.
Now,
I'll bring the...
At this point, are there questions? You're going to have to fix that so I can actually be seen.
Yes, give me a moment here to just adjust. I can bring down like so and forward. How's that for you?
That's fine.
All right, so yes, we have questions.
About how and why you keep an altar.
There were questions. Can you explain more about Rinpoche's satsa, how you make a satsa, how it's used on the altar?
A satsa is a power object. Rinpoche's satsas, which are available to you if you want, you simply email me at... is that email that goes directly to Yvonne. Can I use that?
Yes, go ahead.
Just a moment and I'll have it for you.
And that's just YouTube separate, so you can move it.
Yeah. Okay, all lowercase. Lama Wongdor Tsatsa at gmail.com. Email that to request one of Rinpoche's tsatsas if you're one of his students.
Say again, one more time.
Say again. Let me get it back up.
It's Lama Wangdor Satsa?
Just a minute. Lama Wangdor Tsatsa, T-S-A, at Gmail.
I'll pin that in the comments for people to see.
Yes. This is for Rinpoche students who want one. Rinpoche's tsatsas are designed so you can wear them over your heart. I have one just like this from his teacher, Jangchu Dorji, that he once gave me a long time ago. So it's small and it has a hole in it. And it is his bones ground up in my trusty coffee grinder. Yeah, we had blessed coffee for a while after that. and mixed with clay, made into a Torma shape with a stamp of this one has a double Dorji stamped on the bottom. Some have conch shells, which was his symbol, because when his mother became pregnant, she had a dream that Tara came to her and handed her a beautiful, pure white conch and said, "Would you look after this for me for a little while?" So some of them have conch shells. Some of them have lotuses for the symbol of primordial purity. I think those are, knot of eternity, symbolizing the interconnected web of the time-space continuum and manifestation. So they're stamped on the end with one of those stamps. And we made them and fired them. And I was going to, as I traveled this year, bring them to you all. But I didn't travel this year. So it's by post. You wear them over your heart chakra to keep him close. Just checking. Here, yeah. Actually, I'm ready for the next question.
May we make our own stupa, such as using an upside-down mortar with a bell on top?
No. You have to put relics inside. Precious substances, get a stupa. Or get a quartz crystal to symbolize that. Doesn't have to be as big as mine. But no, the exact dimensions of a stupa and everything else is specific. Esoteric reasons, holds energy in a certain way, has symbolism in a certain way. So go for traditional here. I'm not sure where the bathwater and the baby divide. Next.
I live in North Africa, so can I substitute Tibetan bowls for just nice small bowls, even if they are ceramic?
Absolutely. I have Tibetan bowls because, well, I have Tibetan bowls. However, I have gone down to the Chinese shops that sell, kitchen stuff and bought nice little ceramic bowls, very pretty, and used those in places. That will work just fine. You want 7 of them. If you are in a Muslim country where you cannot safely, or in any other single religion country where you cannot safely keep an altar, you can disguise it. You can publicly display a symbol of Allah or a cross or whatever needs to be publicly displayed as your main piece, where I have the tonka. And nobody knows why you have a pretty crystal there or a book wrapped in cloth. You don't have to have the 7 bowls, just some light form. And things that to you symbolize Dharma. So this can be done secretly if necessary. Would you not have a shelf on which you kept your Bible or your copy of the Quran, or a bit of calligraphy that said Allah, or an icon acceptable in your culture, in the culture that you happen to be living in, that you need to be discreet in? Well, you can work with that. You can see what it means to you. I have students who are Muslim and who see Allah as simply the symbol of all. I have students who are Catholic and see the divine trinity as the symbol of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya. So you don't have to divide it up away from whatever tradition you need to keep in your household in order to be allowed to live peacefully in the place you find yourself in. I know that there are places where keeping a Buddhist altar, both in America in the Deep South and in certain predominantly Muslim countries, and probably in many other countries, would be a cause of contention. Yes, you can disguise it. That's not Digpa. You know what it means. You can't really put a statue on an altar disguised as Muslim unless you have it in a box, that it is unclear how that box opens. But you can do that, and you can know it's in there. One of those puzzle boxes that looks like it's just a stand, and put a pretty crystal on the top. Oh, it's a pretty. So go ahead and be creative in circumstances where you need to. The reason I mention this is people have talked about these issues with me by email. And I wanted to answer that in general, because if a few people are talking to me about it by email, there's probably a number of others who are having the issue, but not talking to me about it by email. So consider what you can do with discretion to nonetheless have a shelf in your room that holds the energy for you. And offer a candle on it. Here in the West, the dollar store has these wonderful 2 for $1 votive candles. These take, what, AA, AAA? AAA. And these take little batteries that you can order online. This does not come with batteries, I don't think, and this does. But both of them are excellent to put on your altar as a light source, a night light. Call it a night light to those who don't want to understand. And you know why you put it there. That's enough. So these are super cheap in the dollar store for those of you in the West. Those of you in other places will find something that's the equivalent. Don't burn your house down. We use live flame, and I do occasionally, I have a couple of butter lamps that I would light with live flame if I'm doing certain ceremonies, and they'll burn for a couple of hours. But you don't, living in a wooden house, want to go away and leave a live flame untended, which is why these little electric vodus are so good. In our caves, sure, no problem. Have a candle, leave a candle going, leave a butter lamp lit on your altar at all times, whether you're in there or not. It's fine, it's a cave, it's not gonna burn down. But wooden houses, I highly disrecommend that. Because see, your cat gets up there, the mice get up there. One time Rinpoche had a mouse nesting on his altar. I'm not sure why, but it had nested there. And it had cute little babies. And he couldn't clean off his altar or mess with anything up there until the babies grew up and moved out, because he didn't want to disturb her home while she had babies. Because think of how that would feel if you had a home and you had babies and somebody ejected you just out of cleanliness. So man, his altar was a mess, full of mouse droppings and little squeaks. They were eating the grain in the bowls. while the babies grew up. It was really sweet. I think that got started because he didn't clean his altar that often anyway, just when he felt for it. Kind of like me. We have lazinesses. Traditionally, you would do it every morning. But most of us, we just do the bowls in the morning and we don't get to what's in the back or dust it that often. Fresh flowers when you notice they've gone off. Some people are better at noticing than others. Next question.
Is sampa considered the ideal grain for the bowls, or is that used for something else?
Sampa is used for tormas, not for the bowls. Rice is considered ideal for the bowls.
On an altar, instead of a printed image, can it be a drawing?
Yes. My main image, the big tonka I showed you, that's a drawing.
Let's see. Can you go through the order of the bowls again? Please explain the Yidam order, giving...
For Mahanatara?
Yeah, the 2 rows of bowls.
The 2 rows. So you have 2 sets of bowls, a big one and a little set. And you have 2 layers, 2 levels. So you get a piece of wood or a box and you put it, it's just this big. It can just be a couple of slats behind for the back row. Now you do the back row left to right. You are offering to the archetypes. You are offering agam, water to drink, padam, water to wash, pupe, water for flowers, dupe, water for incense, aloke, butter lamp, gande, massage oil, water for massage oil, new day, food, a torma, shepta, music. And then you come around to the front row and you go back the other way. Because since these are archetypes you're offering to, they are archetypes of energies of your own mind. So the offering goes and comes as well. And to symbolize that, your second row, reading from right to left. Agam, water to drink, padam, water to wash, pupe, flowers, dupe, incense, aloke, butter lamp, gande, massage, new day, food, shepta, music. Did you get that? There are also many texts online and images, especially at FPMT, that will show you drawings of it, of the order.
Is the height of the altar important?
Yes, it should be above your waist level.
Did you say earlier the stupa was a Kadampa stupa? Is that a stupa type?
I don't know if that is a Kadampa stupa or another stupa. I said it was Rinpoche's stupa that he gave me after he died. I'll have to look up what type of stupa that is. Very unusual type.
Can I use wheat flour to make tormas, or do I
Won't
need
work.
sampa?
You could make wheat sampa if you cannot buy barley by putting your wheat on a cookie sheet, but you might as well just buy barley and put it on a cookie sheet, and putting it in the oven at about 350 degrees and roasting it until it is golden brown, not dark brown, golden brown, taking it out of the oven and grinding it into flour. The problem working with wheat is the gluten. It gives you the wrong texture for making tormas. You can't get them to do it right. Now, I have not experimented, but it might be possible to roast wheat flour to golden brown in a karae and then use that as sampa. Maybe. I haven't tried it. A karae is like a wok.
Could you say that all the objects on the altar are symbols of the awareness?
Yes. To me, on my altar, yes. Symbols of infinite open awareness and vast interconnectivity.
Can the altar be put in the kitchen for reasons of staying warm?
Yes. Not particularly traditional, but then Tibetans don't do nice kitchens. In the old days, when we had bigger houses and the kitchen was the heart of everything, then yes, the altar would be in the kitchen. And when you're living in a ba, there's only one room anyway, so it's all the kitchen. Yes, you can put the altar in the kitchen for reasons of staying warm. Put it at a height above your waist, and you will have to wipe the grease from cooking off it more often. So wipe it.
What about using other types of flours or oils for tormas? I'm allergic to gluten and dairy, so I wonder about experimenting.
Barley has no gluten.
Are cookies good for tormas?
You can use cookies as a torma quite happily. They work great. I'm old-fashioned. I like traditional tormas. But that's just me. And if you are doing a wong or a self-initiation, I remember somebody went into a Yidam retreat and they were doing the studies online and they were living in the tropics. And so the retreat was going to last about 6 months. And the Westerner who was helping people with it went and recommended they use an apple for the torma, for the latur. You can't get an apple to last 6 months in the tropics. I told them to use a coconut. Much better. It should be edible substance for a torma. It symbolizes the body of the archetype when you're doing a latur. The latur is the archetype for you during that retreat. But unless you are specifically doing that retreat, you don't need to make a latur.
Can I roast barley flour instead of the barley grains before grinding?
Give it a try. I've never tried that.
And some people are saying, yes, barley does have gluten in it.
Barley does.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't? Rye?
We'll wait for them to come back on that. Where do I put the 2 kapalas?
In the back of the altar. Wait a minute, the 2 kapalas. Do you mean the little serchems? The serchems, which I showed you, go on the altar where you can reach them, containing red and white substances.
Does the offering for the 3 jewels go in front or back? Somebody who came in later.
Back.
Okay.
If you're doing 2 rows Mahanatara, and some yoga tantras and all Anuttara tantras, not only Maha, Anuttara require that.
Okay, buckwheat is gluten-free, says the high
Buckwheat. Give it a try. Roast it and get some buckwheat, roast it in the oven, and grind it in your coffee grinder.
When we do clean our altar, what should we do with the food?
The food is always put outside in a high place. The fork of a tree. The squirrel feeder, if you have one. the roof, a big rock. When you empty your water bowls, which you do at sunset traditionally, you give the water to your plants. They do very well with that water.
My little daughter says she dreams of having an altar in her room. Can we make one for her in her room?
Absolutely. It should be above her waist.
And she doesn't require an initiation for that.
No. And it should have the three things: a stupa or a crystal, a image, a statue, a picture, a thangka, and a dharma book. At least those three things, and other pretties that mean a lot to her. So make it big enough for her to keep a number of things on it. Most kids, like me, have not enough surface space, especially on the altar. So getting everything to fit is often quite a thing. So what you want to do is make sure her shelf that she's designated for this is big enough and not where her feet point. That drops your energy too low. Not good for your channels. Inauspicious. To the side is fine, above the head is fine, everywhere except right directly where your feet point. So if your feet point here, you could put the altar here. See, here's your feet, here's the altar. They're not pointing at the altar, you're good. But not where your feet point.
Can we use a cup with a lid for a searching?
Absolutely. 2.
I ate the leftovers from cleaning my altar. Did I make a mistake?
If you had done your altar well, they would not have tasted good. The essence has been sucked out. However, you've done yourself no harm. It's just nice to be charitable with it.
Let's see. Can the altar face any direction?
Yes, except your feet. Oh, there is feng shui meanings and this and that, but you'd have to talk to a geomancer about all of that. I do have one, but he doesn't speak English. Kengpola is an excellent geomancer, did all of Rinpoche's geomancy. That's his specialty.
Oh, and you can feel it too when you go.
Oh, yeah. So if you speak Tibetan or can find yourself a translator, I can give you Kengpola's email. You can make him some offerings and ask him geomancy questions. But he doesn't speak English, nor does he have a translator to hand where he's living. So you're going to have to find a way to write him in Tibetan.
Is there anything wrong with having an altar set up inside a display case?
No. Many Tibetans do that to keep the cats and mice off it.
What do we use to represent the red and white substances in Serchen?
Traditionally, yogurt for the white and a red rye, or red wine for the red. However, you can use chung, which is white. It's like sake, maybe. It's a rice beer for the white. And you can use black tea for the red. The substance is not as important as the symbol.
The person who ate the leftovers says they tasted terrible. Can you have sex in front of your altar? I heard it was inauspicious.
Some say that that's so, some teachers.
I guess if the feet aren't pointing.
I'm trying to think about whether that is baby or bath water. And it's really going to depend on the sex. So that could be done in a greedy, inauspicious, craving way. And I would probably avoid having inauspicious sex in front of the altar. But fun, laughing, playful sex, that would not bother me in Dzogchen. And if you are doing Anuttara Tantra, everywhere is your altar, not just the one you made. Yes, you keep one of those still, but you perceive everything as the mandala of your yidam. So it would be kind of hard to not have sex somewhere if you were going to have sex. And since everywhere is the mandala of your yidam, and everywhere is the manifestation of mind, where would you have sex other than in that? I would refrain from having improper sex in front of the altar quite strongly.
That seems to be all of the altar questions for right
Okay.
now. There's other questions, but they aren't related to this.
Okay, then we're going to take a break for 5 minutes while I go wash my hands and find a mask, because you always wear a face mask when you're making tormas. And then I'm going to show you how to make tormas. So 5-minute break.
It'll be on. You just won't be in front of it.
Okay. I'm going to step up front too. Because I can. Because I like breaks. Changed my mind. I'll just go wash up. And now's when I'm going to need the ice cubes.
In this bowl here.
Yes,
All right.
with a little water.
The clunk. This is not for a dog. These are, well, would you like an ice cube?
She loves ice cream.
Honey, come here. Here, you can have your ice cube over here. There you go. That is yours. Is that enough water?
I think so. We'll see. If not, I'll ask for more.
Okay, and you have your
I
mask.
need to get my mask.
Okay.
Okie dokie. I am back with clean hands and a mask. The first torma I'm going to show you how to make is an offering torma to offer on your altar. I need a knife, sweetie. Butter knife. So, you're going to have to tip this down so it sees the table in front of me.
Gonna do this?
Yes,
How's that?
a little bit back. Yep.
There
Perfect.
we go. Okay.
Okay, so, Tsampa. Soft butter. I need some hot water
Oh,
to put the kettle on. Now, you just mix it. Fingertips. Mix the butter in first.
should be just a couple of minutes for hot water.
Warm will do if it's not quite ready. Like you were making pie crust. You work the butter in.
Can also quick microwave.
Yeah, that would be good. See? Butter is pretty well mixed. You have to put some butter in or it cracks really fast. You could, I suppose, if you were quite poor, use olive oil or whatever cooking oil you use, but it must be an edible oil. That'll be warm enough because my hand goes in here.
Yeah, it is warm.
There we are. Then a little bit of water. You don't want too much. This is all about the texture. You gotta feel for it. A little bit more. It's been a few years since I've done this, so we're going slowly. There we are. That's come along. Nicely mixed. Holds its form. nicely mixed. Now we're going to gather it together into a lump. And knead it a little bit, just so it's well mixed. Pop. Now, if you were making this for dinner, this would be the consistency in which you'd eat it. And for dinner, you would just break off little pieces, like make a little hole in them and scoop up your sauce. But this is going to be a torma, not dinner. And I see that it's a little dry, so I'm just going to damp my hand. Squeeze it like that. There, it's coming. You're going to make a ball. Very smooth ball. Did you hand me one of the little blue pages? And then you're going to make it a little bit long.
Oh, okay, where do you?
Just here. Like this. See my motions? I'm making a dent. It's a base. Roll it. And just leave that for when we need it.
Mm-hmm.
Give it its base. Symmetrical. Wide. Narrow. Yes. A bit longer. Here's my butter. Now I'm going to take a finger of butter, which I put on my hands, nice and soft from hand warmth. And I butter my torma. This helps seal it, because you want these to last as long as you're doing the practice, which could be some hours or even some days, like through a retreat. Though usually in retreat, this being an offering torma, you would replace it daily. But the lator is a slightly different shape. I'm not good at those. I've made them, but Rinpoche laughed at me. He says, well, it'll work if you have faith. These I used to make much more often. There we go. Now, this is your basic torma shape. Remind you of something in the West that you may have seen before? Joke.
I know. I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I won't say it either. You can all think it. But that's the shape. Now it needs clothes, so I need the cold butter. This is a bowl of ice water. I'm gonna need just a little more water in with the ice.
Okay.
Like one or two full mugs. Just so that it's about an inch above the ice. You can't have a naked Torma, you gotta make the clothes for it.
One moment and I will be there with butter. I'll just wait for cold butter.
No, I need the piece that's open,
Oh,
and I need a sharp knife.
okay. Where is the open piece in here?
Should be in there, maybe not. Okay, give me, but I need a piece, not a package.
Okay. So butter,
Perfect,
and I will bring, you need water for ice cubes.
yeah. So, this is cold butter, straight out of the fridge. This is my bowl of ice water. So I need to get this butter very cold, kind of round. I've got to do it in the ice water. Otherwise it'll melt by the heat of your hands. And yes, your fingers will get cold. Squish it round. More water. Okay. That's good. Now, I'm going around and I'm squishing it flat, keeping it even, clean it up. Should watch some of the guys in the monastery do this. They are so fine and fast. I must, next time I'm out there, get one of our Torma makers to do a YouTube of it. It's a flower. Making little finger impressions of petals. There we go. Can you see it? So it gets stuck on the Torma here. I need another little piece. Make the center. There's your first bit. Stay there, Torma, don't fall over. Now, the piece. This is the tiggly that goes on top. You show this video to some Lama and they're going to laugh like hell at the qualities of my Tormas if they were raised in a monastery. However, me, I was raised in a cave. They work. But they're not nearly as fine or as paper thin on the butter as you would see from someone who does them as their main practice. There, Nyando. Well, no, I can do this. So, this is your Torma. You're gonna have to show the altar in a minute.
Okay, so let me disconnect the camera. I'm trying to get your...
There it is with a live Torma.
We got
Agam
it.
padam pupe dupe aloke gande new de food shepta.
Is it in...
Yeah.
Okay.
The next Torma I want to make for you, which you'll also probably want to make sometimes, is for tzok. Means you eat them.
Well,
You
somebody
share 'em.
was saying they were hungry, so...
Okay, well, this is how you make one that will satisfy your hunger. Good bit of butter. Butter is important. And I have a spoon. Just an ordinary spoon. Just set it down.
Oh, okay.
But thank you. Mixing the butter in the sampa. And then we have cheese. Now we don't have any Tibetan cheese. So what we're going to put in here is Parmesan cheese, because it is the most similar in flavor that you can get around here. And raisins, because raisins are good. And a little bit of brown sugar these days. Because remember, this is sok, so it's supposed to be the best of what you have. And could you bring me a little bit of salt? Oh no, it's salted butter, right? Never mind.
It is.
Mix this. See how that is? We're going to add a bit of water. Mix it up. You mix it up just like you did the other one, but it's going to be a bit lumpy because remember you put some raisins and cheese in. But that just makes it better. Now this shape is pretty simple, pyramidical. So of these, you could make one big one to be cut up. Usually at the caves, we have a big one that's shared among everybody. But I've also seen it done where people make many little ones like this. And of course, I need a little bit of the warm butter to ice it. You just smear on the outside. Heat from your hands will do it. Acts as a preservative. Sometimes they melt the butter when it's very cold, or if your hands are cold, you just melt the butter and pour it on. Sometimes you use red food coloring and dye the butter and make the torma red. With this, you still got to put clothes on it. Let me move this bowl aside. With practice, which I have not had lately, your tormas will become much finer and the clothes you put on them much thinner. And there is an eating torma. Could I have a paper towel? Ah, thank you.
Tangled there?
Of course. We'll just leave that there for the moment. So this is how you make tormas, two kinds. The lator is much more complex. I would have to fish out some old notes to make one of those for you, which I've not planned to do today. I never did make very good lators. That's part of the reason. Well enough to do my own retreats because, well, it's the thought that counts. But the yogis used to laugh at my lators. Offer to help me a lot. So what we have here is basically torma making of the kind you're most likely to want. The kind you offer and the kind that you enjoy with friends and eat. Are there any questions coming up on this?
Oh, yeah. I think we covered this question earlier, but if you can't get sampa, what else will work for making tormas?
Nothing as well. So if you can't get sampa, buy pearl barley. You can get that in most grocery stores or online. Spread it thinly on a cookie tray. Roast it at 350 degrees. I don't know how long. Keep checking it until it darkens in color to a golden brown, not a dark brown. shake the tray so that they roll over, so that it's not just browning on the bottom. Once you have that, grind it. It will be relatively soft. When it's already roasted, it's called yu. And yu is something people carry in their pockets to eat as a niblet, the way you might a potato chip. So it should be easy to grind in a coffee grinder, a powerful mixer grinder, your food processor even. It is doable. You can try taking some kind of flour that is already available, roasting it in a wok, and seeing if that works. Regular wheat flour is too stretchy. It doesn't hold shape. It doesn't hold, the gluten forms, and it just doesn't hold its shape properly for a torma. Anyway, it doesn't taste good either. Rice flour toasted? I've never heard of it used. Rinpoche once made, when we couldn't get sampa and we had to do a wong, he made these giant fist-sized dumplings of wheat flour and boiled them for quite a while, and then ground them up and used that. It was a lot of work to use that, and it wasn't perfect, but it was the best we could do at the time.
What is the significance of the Torma's clothes, the different butter decorations?
Cold outside. You gotta keep warm. You don't want to be naked. The Tormas are alive. Of course they need clothes. That's my guess. Damned if I know. But you always put clothes on your Tormas. It's probably cultural. It's cold up there.
What is the significance of the different colors? For example, dyeing it red compared to leaving it as it is?
Your Gektor is red. Your offering Torma and your eating Torma can be dyed red or not, as you choose. To dye something red, you want an oil-soluble color. We use annatto powder in butter. Would you like me to dye one of these red so you can see? I have time.
Yeah. So find the annatto color?
I'm going to have to go over to the stove to do that, so this is just going to have to turn and follow me to the stove.
Which it can do. The whole thing can just walk with us.
I'm ditching my Zen for this because I really don't want to spill butter all over it. The only decent dry cleaner I found for those is in India.
Oop. There. Okay. We will just bring this along.
Okay. And could you hand me the warm butter? So here we are in the kitchen with the stove. Just put it down over there.
Okay.
And where's my annatto? So this is a decent oil-soluble red dye annatto powder. Food grade.
Let me see if I can get a good focus.
I'm going to take a chunk of butter, throw it in the pan, turn on the heat to low because I don't want to burn it. And let's put some annatto on the butter. So I just did a few scoops of annatto powder with my little spice scoop. melting it in the butter. And I'm just going to heat this until the butter's melted. So I'm turning off the heat now. It'll melt with the residual heat. Wrong way. And I'm tasting it. It's fine. Now what I'm going to do is remove the clothes from my torma. I need the ice water over here on the cart. The only way the clothes are going to survive on a hot day is in the ice water. Come on, you. You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, I've got it in the...
I poured it over. Grabbed a basting brush. Okay. It's red. Now, for this to nicely solidify, oh, I may have missed a spot. You can use food coloring provided it's not the liquid kind, which isn't oil soluble, but the paste kind that is. There. Now, normally for this to get cold, I'd stick it in the fridge for a minute. Let's see where there's room in my poor fridge. It has food karma. There.
Okay.
Okay, we can go back and sit. And we'll fish that out at the end and show.
Okay.
It'll only take a minute for it to get cold and that to solidify up. I'm back, but all you can see is my tits.
Well, no, we need to actually see a Lama. There we go. How is that?
That works.
Okay.
So we're back. And there's tormas. That's how you dye one red. You melt the red dye, whatever you're going to use that is food grade. Do you know the flower coxcomb? You can buy some for your garden and plant it. You get it from a garden supply. I've seen it. It's called coxcomb. It's a bright red lacy flower. If you have that, take one of those, the blossom, amaranth flower, or the blossom of amaranth. And you can fry that in butter and the butter turns red. Beets might work. Fry a beet. You know, a real red beet, chop it up, fry it, strain the butter out, and use that to paint your torma. What else have we got for questions?
Can you add nuts to the edible torma?
Yes, my partner Nyando is allergic to nuts, so I didn't, since I hope to share this around here. But traditionally you would add cashews if you had them, or some coconut, or whatever nuts were around, walnuts.
The torma making has made enough people in the audience hungry. They're asking about a momo teaching or momo making part.
Let me consider Tibetan cooking. But right now we're locked down and we can't all get together, and it's hard to teach this where you can't get your hands in online. When we open up again, perhaps I'll teach some of you locally how to make traditional Tibetan foods so you can please visiting lamas by feeding them food just like their mamas used to make. It's fun.
Will making torma offerings ripen your karma?
A question unclear to me. Your karma is always ripening. Making gewa will improve your karma. Making torma offerings is gewa. Will it cause your, perhaps you're asking if it will cause your karma to ripen faster. No, not particularly. There are practices that will do that, but this isn't among them. This is for fun. Because your ceremonies, they're supposed to be fun. So if you're getting bored with your yidam sadhana, do the long one sometimes and make tormas for it. Do the long one and include its sock and make some eating tormas to surprise and delight your friends.
Can you say more about when to make tormas and why?
Normally, you would make a torma every day to altar fresh on the altar. The offering torma as an offering of food. Since you're unlikely to do that, you can offer a biscuit, a cracker, an apple, or whatever is nice that you have to hand that isn't leftovers. You do that to create gewa in your surroundings so that there will be less digpa manifesting. Digpa manifests as stress. Gewa manifests as happiness, pleasure, and relaxation. So you want that going on around you, so you make a lot of gewa in your environment. And making offering tormas does that. The eating tormas are usually made for a ceremony called sok. It is done to Tara on the 8th day of the moon. It is done to Guru Rinpoche on the 15th. A chudsok is often done in dark of the moon. 15th is full moon. So on these specific days of the moon cycle, you would do a ceremony of gathering together some friends or family and many wonderful fine things to eat and drink. Good wine, momos, chocolate cake, as you like. And chanting the necessary chants, you would offer that to all the archetypes, to the objects of refuge. You would make that offering. And then, in the end, recognizing yourself and all your relations as having Buddha nature. This would be like the second set of offering bowls, also offered to you and your friends in great pleasure would share this food. Talk is to be shared. If it's a lockdown situation and you're alone, you can package up bits of it and give it to others with social distancing to eat by themselves. But it should be shared. And that's what you'd make the second kind of torma for. It's kind of like a cheesecake torma.
Much earlier, before we went to the refrigerator, someone had asked a question about how to make a traveling altar, one that an altar setup, about setting up your altar so you can travel with it?
A little unbreakable stupa, wood, stone. Wood is good. Here, I'll show you one. Let's see if it's back here. It should be. Yes. Found these in India. Wooden stupas. And they open so you can keep relics inside. So something like this. Small, travelable. A little book, just like maybe the Heart Sutra or something. Xerox small and wrapped in a small bit of cloth. A small photo in a little portable frame. One of those little folder things that you could stand up that had your teacher and an image of your yidam. Little bowls. All packed in a nice pretty bag and wrapped up with a nice cloth. Any empty shelf will work.
If one receives a Torma empowerment, what kind of Torma is the basis of the empowerment? I guess if you're...
Torma empowerments are part of other empowerments. They are not singular. And it is a form, I believe, it depends. Let's see. It's where they hit you over the head with a torma during an empowerment is called the torma empowerment. I think it's nature of mind of the archetype.
I'm just thinking about the rocket ship Torma, I think. Wanda Rinpoche showed me.
Oh yeah, he made some beauties.
Mm-hmm. How often are the offerings replaced by, or how often are they replaced by other offerings?
Daily is best. But if something appears to you to be still good, leaving it for another day is not harm. The water is replaced daily. Anything you don't have the objects, you're symbolizing it with a bowl of water. And a lot of people just do the 7 bowls of water with a little votive candle in the middle. Just water in them. On a travel altar, that's how you do it. Because you wouldn't necessarily carry all those things with you. So each one would be visualized as you filled the bowl with water. Agam, water to wash. Water to drink. Padam, water to wash. Pupe, water for flowers. Dupe, water for incense. Aluke, a little votive. Gande, water for massage. New Day, water for food, if you didn't have a cookie. Shepta, water for music. And those you would refill daily. However, you could leave your apple for a few days. Don't leave it till it rots. Put it out for the critters.
So you can just fill all the bowls with water on a daily basis?
You can.
Just the water without adding anything to
Correct.
the water. Okay.
Even if you don't have a votive, you're in a hotel, you got in at midnight, and you still want to set up your altar before sleep, just draw a picture of a candle and put it there. Although I would probably carry a votive because if I travel a lot, I can never find the bathroom where I am now. I always try to go to where the bathroom was last night and walk into walls. So I do like a small light and carry a votive. Next question.
Any advice on setting up an ancestor or family altar?
Put pictures of your ancestors and your families on the altar.
Since Sampa is a Tibetan thing, not Indian, what did the old Indian tantrikas make their tormas from?
Don't know. My guess is maybe overcooked rice, mushy rice. That is an excellent question. I have no idea. If somebody can find out the answer, I would appreciate it. Tilopa used fish heads. That was a joke.
Could you write down the recipe for making the tormas also with pictures? Or is it already on the internet somewhere?
I'm sure it's already on the internet somewhere, but I just told it to you. You get some sampa, you add some butter, squish it around, and add warm water and make the shape for an offering torma. You flavor it for an eating torma with good things to eat. I don't do recipes.
That's true.
I don't cook with recipes. I get inspired by recipes, but I certainly don't follow them. I'm bad.
Can you offer saffron water instead of plain water?
You can, and it's very fine to do that. Many people do.
I have a protector shrine where I use a serchum for tea. The serchum turns dark after years of use, and it's impossible to clean all the way to make it shiny again. Should I replace it or continue using it?
No, it's quite auspicious when your serchum is no longer shiny. Sometimes it attracts the wrong kind of being when it's too shiny. Your protectors understand what's in it. Geks like shiny things.
What is the symbolic meaning of the flower on the torma? I think they're referring to the other kind of torma, the ceramic one there on the table.
That's its clothes. That's just better made than I could make. If I had the ability, I've seen the monks make clothes that look like this.
At one point I did a photo essay. I don't know where the photos have ended up.
We may have a photo essay of Torma making for Rinpoche's ceremonies, his death ceremonies. If we can find it, we'll stick it up on Facebook and YouTube for you. But no, it's clothes just done much better than I'm able to. And yes, you can dye the butter with, again, it's a paste food coloring you'd use, and get all sorts of colors of clothes. And sometimes you do that if you're working with a latur.
Can you please talk about the meaning and use of the dorji and bell?
You use them in ceremonies. You use them in offerings to symbolize music. That's the outer level. On an inner level, your dorji symbolizes, well, actually, there's an even more outer level than that, but you can imagine. I'm not sure I'm supposed to tell that joke on YouTube.
Well, as long as you're not explicit, I think we're okay.
But it is explicit.
Well, not spelled out in English words. I think we're good.
Also, the Vajra symbolizes your male parts, and the bell symbolizes your lotus parts, your female parts. Also, on the inner level, I guess that would be the secret level, but on the inner level, the dorji symbolizes Bodhisattva, the energy of the powos, the dance of form in interconnectedness of all form. And the bell symbolizes shunyata, the infinite, open vastness of Dharmakaya nature of mind. When the two come together, and the clear light nature of infinite open awareness enlivens that open awareness, it manifests as all that is and all that is not. This is the dorji and the bell. Next.
Can one prepare daily offering tormas for the week ahead of time and keep them in an icebox?
Yeah, keep them in the fridge. They melt in hot weather. They'll probably last a week. I wouldn't put the clothes on them. I'd pack the clothes separately and dress them at the time. And if you have room for 7 offering tormas in your fridge, you're doing good.
Can you make tormas with Play-Doh or modeling clay?
Yes. Not the same, but this is made of some kind of such substance.
And I'm assuming not the salt ones.
Not the ones you eat. How much have we got left?
A few questions, not...
We'll go with them. We're just
Yeah.
running low on time now.
Somebody asking, how often do you change out what is in the Ser chips?
Usually every time you do the puja. Yogurt doesn't last.
And someone on keto diet wondering if almond flour will work for tormas.
I have no idea. Maybe.
A question about the Scorpion Door protection cards.
Mm-hmm.
Do they go inside the house doors facing inside or facing outside?
Outside, above the door, facing outside.
I'll try and reword this a bit. I sleep with my feet in the direction of the wall where my meditation room is on the other side of the wall. Is that okay?
Yes, it is.
Can you put a purba on the altar?
Yes, you can.
How do you discern helpful versus non-useful thoughts?
Why would you want to do that? They're all the same thing. They're just thoughts. What, you think there's real ones among them? Watch them go for a while. You'll see.
Can you use tigshas? I think that's the hanging.
Tingchas, yes.
Yeah. In place of a bell, or should we get a regular bell?
No, you should get a regular bell. Tingchas serve a different purpose.
How do you work with thoughts in Dzogchen meditation on and off the meditation mat?
Exactly the same way. Don't pay him no never mind. Don't take him seriously. That's the outer level. On the inner level, recognize thoughts as simply winds blowing through your channels. The noise the chi makes as it moves through your channels, you hear as thoughts. On a secret level, on a Dzogchen level, open your attention from its point focus on this thought or that thought to the infinite, vast ground of mind in which those thoughts arise and vanish. And watch them do that. Don't follow them. Don't cherish them. Don't make friends with them. Don't throw them away. Don't reject them. Don't make enemies of them. Don't try to sort them out into good ones and bad ones, real ones and false ones, useful ones and not useful ones. Watch them all. Each and every one of them arise and dissolve. Where the arising and the dissolving are absolutely simultaneous, and no thing arises and no thing dissolves. And the infinite open ground of mind, vast beyond describing, is you. And your thoughts arise in that you and disappear in that you leaving no mark across that infinite, vast, trackless expanse of sky-like natural mind. Watch it happen until you're absolutely sure that nothing else ever happens but that. Next.
Can white wine be used to represent the white substance in
Yes.
their terms?
That's what I did in mine when I was cleaning up the altar this morning.
Or milk?
Yes.
Okay. And someone wanted a quick re-explanation of the meaning of the red substance and the white substance.
The red substance is vaginal blood and the white substance is sperm. Comes out of your dorji and your drill boot. They are the symbolic essence of the red channel and the white channel, of what runs within you, the life force of chi, separated into yin and yang, with red being yin, which is the innate fire energy of heat that forms in the area of your uterus when you're doing tumo. That innate fire energy of open awareness. Because it's not a big old cold void like outer space. It's alive. It's warm. And the white substance is form and the nature of form, the dance of matter in space as energy. And when they come together, completion occurs. And so working in Tantra with this symbolism, you experience the completion ceremonially.
Is there a special torma for hungry ghosts, or a way to make food accessible to them?
Yes. Basically, when you have finished eating, you leave a little bit on your plate. You grasp it like this in your hand. And then you, what's that mudra? I think it's like this. I'm gonna have to research that. Should be up on the FTPMC site. There's a mantra that you do with your own leftovers. However, you can also, in the more simple way, dedicate food to them, and having dedicated it, place it here and there about out there. Usually they are given the leftovers because if you were to bring a sack to the 100 Ghost Realm of beautiful fresh bread, just bought from the bakery and brought there, nonetheless, due to their karma, the denizens there would perceive it as moldy, even if you still perceived it as fresh. So it's the leftovers that go through. There are tormas called gektors, which are for the imps and glitches, done in certain ceremonies where you take them off the property down energy stream and leave them there. But they're quite complex to make, and they have a little butter lamp inside them, and you light them, and I didn't want to go into making of gektors today. Get that from Lopon.
Does the sock torma replace the food in the ceremony, or is it made in addition to a food offering?
Oh, it's as one of the food offerings usually.
I think that's... Some people are wondering if the cat has a question, and the cat is being a cat.
Cat's catting. And she's on somebody on the couch.
Yeah. And I think that is our
Okay, so we are
questions here.
complete for today. Some bits of this may hopefully be useful to some of you. Nge wandi nyur dudang che che tala go pashu. And if somebody wants to go find me how you do that hand squish thing for the pretas, the hungry ghosts, there's a mudra you do, and I can't remember which fingers, and a mantra you say, and then all your leftovers are visible to them. And you're right, it's a good practice. It's simply something of so many things I learned that I've forgotten. If anybody can find that out there, and my guess is it's with FPTMC, because that's where I learned it, FTPMC, send it to me. Or send me the URL, because I'd like to make that available to people. It's a wonderful practice, and just because I've gotten old and forgotten it doesn't mean it's not worth remembering. Those of you who would like to create gewa around yourself and others by helping others, who would like perhaps to merge your practice with another practitioner, or if you are doing well these days, support someone who is doing poorly, who is in their way a practitioner or a child of practitioners, send me an email. I have yogis and a few children who are in need at the moment. And if anyone enjoyed these teachings and wish to encourage me to keep doing it, there's a PayPal button on my website if you wish to offer dana. Teachings are offered freely. They're a gift to you. If you wish to make a gift, that's the best way to do it. But it is not required. And please don't kick yourself if you're broke. Some other time. The best offering you can give me is your practice. I mean that. And we are complete.
Okay, I believe you are offline.
Okay.
Here we go.
I've made a mess.